or lower, full-time employment, years. So if you want us to chat, if you want us to talk about this, please get in touch with us at SEAL Uganda on number 0772443085, or check our website www.sealuganda.com, or on all the social media handles. You can hook me up or Facebook, that is Jinpo Olowo, on Instagram, Jinpo Olowo, and on Twitter and LinkedIn. Then we can chat a way forward with you. We can help you, we can coach you, we can walk with you this journey of financial freedom. Thank you.
Even people are stuck in their own ways. For people who have had a chance to, say, work out of the country, you're dealing with people from different backgrounds, different cultures. Their view of the world is different. You know, you cannot change that. The best you can do is get into that space and find a way of navigating through that.
Okay.
So I don't believe that what I've learned necessarily is going to go into, say, a big organization like Stanbic and change it.
Yeah.
If it might guide me along the way in terms of how to navigate, in terms of how to influence the leaders of that organization, but not necessarily kick the front door and change everything. In fact, I think that's disastrous because you might just end up going backwards. So I think for me is allow yourself to learn from the environment and then adapt and change from within.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of time we see people, Daniel, who go into organization and just start changing, and you find people flying from this organization to another and says, man, the new boss was come.
Correct.
I can't stay there.
Absolutely.
And this happened.
Absolutely.
Is it they themselves who are a problem, those who are running away, or actually the bosses come and want to change everything? Have you ever been in an organization and people have viewed you like that? And if yes, how were you able to deal with it? If not, had you learned these tricks before going inside there so that when you arrived, you are more warmer to people than more, cold to other people?
Yeah, I think in most cases where, and we've seen this, even in Uganda, where a CEO comes and tries to change everything overnight and the organization suffers. You lose your talent, the good people leave the company, they go to other organizations, your numbers start going down. It's a no-brainer. The good ones are the ones who quickly realize, oh, this is different, I need to adapt. I mean, I always hear people who have worked in Tanzania. Tanzanians are different. The way they do things at their pace and how they
shift and move things,
relate among each other is very different.
Yes.
So if you come with your speed and and forcefulness, you'll get a culture shock. They'll edge you out slowly in their nice way. Before you know it, you've left the company. I remember earlier back in our breweries, we had similar people who used to come from South Africa at the time. Because Africa is obviously very fast-paced. It's about push, push, push. And a lot of them suffered. In fact, a time came when they said, you know what, this thing is not working. Let's empower now Ugandans. That's how you guys came through. Yeah.
people at the moment are struggling to understand the older generation because times have changed. Technology has come in.
They've moved on.
Yes.
We're the ones sitting back and wondering, what is my child on to? TikTok has surpassed WhatsApp. The other one I call, I never call it Facebook, it's Bookface. Why are you on Bookface? Dad, it's Facebook.
Yes.
Me, I keep saying, I have a foot amongst the millennials.
Yeah.
And I understand the traditionalists.
Okay.
There's a song in the 60s, by the way, and the 90s, 70s, where they're like, parents don't understand.
Yes.
Remember Prince?
Yes.
Prince.
It is the CEO Bench. My name is Eddie Okila, and my guest this morning or this afternoon from whichever part of the world that you are catching or watching the CEO Bench from is Jennifer Okusia of BOSCO Uganda. She is the new executive director of BOSCO Uganda, and of course the name BOSCO is one of the most famous names in Uganda and in Africa. So welcome to the show and welcome to the CEO Bench discussion this morning. Jennifer, we'd like to take this moment to welcome you to the show. How are you, first of all?
Thank you. I'm really very well.
Great. So the name BOSCO, it's a very famous name in Uganda. How did you guys come up with BOSCO?
Actually, the name BOSCO Uganda is an acronym that stands for Battery Operated System for Community Outreach.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is a faith-based organization under the Archdiocese of Gulu.
Yeah.
We are located in northern Uganda, in Gulu district, and it started in 2007, just at the time, just slightly after the end of the war.
Yeah.
It started in a way to kind of connect the people in the northern region. If you know very well that time, us who came from the north, it was very difficult to travel. Say from Makerere when I was a student, crossing over to the West Nile region. So it was really, really hard because of the war. In the park, it was always such, how do I say, very stressful moment. You always had fear because of the war that was going on. At that time, the rebels had abducted people. There were many people living in internally displaced camps. So, and there was kind of very little information coming from that side about the facts, what was really going on in the region. And the owners, the founders of BOSCO Uganda, there is a priest called Father Joseph Okumu and a friend from the USA called Gus. They had the idea of establishing ICT centers within the camp, within the internal displaced people's camps, with the idea of connecting, the camps with the world, so that the people in the region are able to express themselves and tell their own stories, and also get to connect with the outside world, so that people get to see what is happening. And if you remember very well, the Archbishop, who is still the one, Archbishop Odama, that time children would sleep on the streets because it was not safe. And you remember the time when he joined them to sleep on the streets. Very young children, as old as 3 years, 4 years, had to leave their homes to come and sleep on the street. So there was a need to share information about what is going on in the region. And also, it was established in a way to enable people speak out about their lives, so that people get to understand really the situation in the context. So BOSCO was established to kind of connect people from one camp to another. So the first connection was in Pabo camp, and then we thought of establishing additional camps, like additional sites in other camps. So using a voice over telephony system. And also I could say that BOSCO and the founders were really visionary in a way that they started having wireless network connection already in the camps, that early. So what we are today is an organization that has now established about 54 ICT centers. These are information communication technology centers in communities, in the rural communities, basically to connect the unconnected, end the digital isolation, and enable people, you know, using the internet to reach out to the world, access information. And BOSCO does not only do connection in the communities, but also the organization supports other, you know, NGOs, other organizations, and the Archdiocese, the institution of the Archdiocese, with connectivity. And it is a not-for-profit organization. It's a private, not-for-profit organization. So we don't do it for profit at all, but it is about the community and about extending services to the places where you find the main companies like MTN and others are not reaching, because the northern region, as you know, because of the war, fell behind on many development indicators. So access, even roads, are not very easy. So you find BOSCO Uganda and its network, the wireless network, up to Pabo. You find it in Gago district. You find in really all the Acholi sub districts, and also in Lango. And we've also established some ICT centers in the West Nile. It expanded from connecting people towards also building skills of people, like basic skills on computer, so that people are able to use it, you know, and work. And recently we did some interesting work with Lacho Hospital, trained a number of health workers, tutors, and today, as you know, with COVID, more than ever, digitalization is highly appreciated. It's the way to go, and BOSCO continues to give people skills on basic computer and also connect them so that they're able to, you know, reach out the world and do their work.
Wow. Jennifer, what a beautiful story right there. I want to take you back a little bit from a personal point of view. You've talked about BOSCO. Now we understand that it's not the BOSCO, the Katala of the city, but it's really the BOSCO, the Katala of the village or of the community. That's the most important thing about it. I want to take you back to a more personal question. Who is Jennifer Okusia?
A simple lady, humble lady. I am a Ugandan, and I'm from Moyo district. My dad is from Moyo, and my mother was from Arua, so she was a Lubara. I'm a Madi. How do I say? I'm 41 years old. I look so young, but I'm 41 years old. And I studied in Makerere University. I started from studying in Arua. Arua was my school time, primary school in Arua. Arua Hill Primary School, which now is hosting, I think they are setting up a football pitch there. And then I studied Muni Girls Secondary School, a wonderful school. And then I came to Makerere University. So all my life I've been living up in the north in West Nile in Arua, and I studied development studies, bachelor's in development studies from Makerere University. Then after a few years I did my postgraduate in business management, and then I did a master's with Uganda Matters University in development studies as well. So I'm a woman who, I would say I'm a development worker. Very passionate about social development and transformation of lives.
Wow. Jennifer, you were nominated to come onto the CEO bench. The program that you're on right now is called the CEO bench. The CEO bench exists to, you know, spotlight people who are on a good leadership journey from self-leadership to community leadership to national leadership and to, you know, infinity leadership, if that exists, which we know it does. But the people who nominated you seems to have to believe that you're doing something good. And so whenever we have nomination to bring people to the CEO bench, we're looking at their leadership abilities, we're looking at their level of change management, how do they manage change from one place to the next, because you're growing into ladder, and the CEO bench, you know, shine lights on people who are on the top, and those who are either on the top coming down, or those who are going to the top. You've recently been appointed as the new executive director of BOSCO Uganda. And I guess that is the reason why there's spotlight on you at the moment. And on the CEO bench, we want to know from you. We've asked you the question with Jennifer, and what is your story like as a person, growing up as a girl child from Arua, from Moyo? I mean, did you ever see yourself where you are today? What was the story like?
As I said before, I I came from a humble family, a family of 5 people, 5 children. A father and a mother recently passed on. May God rest their soul in eternal peace. But I grew up like many other young girls in this country who are from the countryside, not very advantaged with life. My mother was an ophthalmologist, and actually she's a mentor to me because she's one of the first people to come in Arua district in the 1990 to kind of give awareness about eyes, about the eye, the cataracts, and she was able to, operate people's eyes and they were able to see. So my mother was passionate about work, and some of the values I draw today are from my mother. She was for me such a model because she really somehow kind of single-handedly raised us. Although I had a father, he was, you call him an electrical engineer. And he kind of retired early. So in the early 94, my dad, for some reason, decided to get early retrenchment. So he left the burden of care to my mother. So my mother was raising nearly 5 children on her own. I am the third born in the family. I had a stepbrother, he's passed on. My elder sister is in police keeping mission now. Myself, and then 2 siblings, a boy and a girl, and then we had a cousin that was with me. But I'm telling this story because as a mother, women, I'm relating so much to women and what they go through, families, what they go through. So I had a mother who was doing everything she could do to raise nearly the children alone, although the husband was there. It was hard for us because I experienced also hardship, poverty, and I know what it means. And one of them, I remember in the university we had a course called Poverty and Development. I didn't have to study it. I'm like, you know what, poverty.
You are the course itself.
I'm like, I am the course itself. So this one, no need to study. So I had to pass it very highly because I understood. It was a tough life because, civil service work, the payments, and it was hard to pay school fees for many children. So, well, in short, I had to stand out as a leader already as a child. I was helping my mother in running her clinic that she was using to get some income. So when she's in the hospital, I would take care of the clinic and be like a nurse. So I started that actually by primary school and went on to secondary. But when I reached senior 6, I said, no, this is illegal. I can't do this. So it's a profession and you've got to become a nurse, or a doctor. And I had to leave it. But that in short, we had challenges as far as school fees is concerned. A single parent, really, I would say, not very easy to raise it. So, when you're in school those days, you carry yourself as a lady, even on a bicycle. You carry yourself to school, fall on the way as you go with your luggage, but you come back. And so it was a struggle with school fees for us. But one thing that made me think already at that time, I was a leader in various settings. I was an active leader in the youth category, I would say. We had what they call the young Christian students. I was a leader right from secondary school, and I was the head of the section in the school. Even at the district, I was a publicity secretary. And eventually, when I came to Makerere, I was the vice national leader. So in this YCS, I'm saying it because there were so much values that we drew from being...
There's leadership
instilled in you. So we had so much values. Then we were really like, you had to be, we had themes like models for change. A leader is, you have to go to be a model for change. There were so many values. So what we did was that even in school, you had to identify where are the problems and kind of, as students, try to resolve the problems within the school and outside. But I was also an UNSA chairperson in the school, and also in the district, I was also a leader. And so these things helped me a lot. And one thing that I knew that I said, in our family, we were born on the other side, not very privileged like others, but you needed to work hard to be better. I knew that to be successful, you've got to work hard. And as a woman, I never believed in getting handouts from men or, having a boyfriend or something as a short, as a way of meeting your basic needs. It is very costly. So the only way out was education. And I really did believe, and up to today, I value so much education, that no matter what, education is the way out. And I knew that if I succeed, my siblings will not have to suffer. They had to get education. And that's what I did. As soon as I finished the university and got my first volunteer job as a lecturer, I was never afraid of challenges because you had to face challenges and deal with them. So it built me up. I kind of became very strong, and there's nothing that I would be afraid of. And something that I drew from my early childhood, the motto of the schools, like the primary school. In Arohi, it was saying, I will try, come what may. And then, no, it was hard work pays, actually. Then in Munigals, it was, I will try, come what may. So there's nothing that can defeat you. So you pick up yourself and move. So for girls, I really do believe that even today, when you look at the context we are with COVID, and we hear so many cases of girls getting pregnant, I really want to speak to them that, you know, challenges are there in life, but you never give up. You've got to fight on and really believe in God. But what keeps us moving is that faith in God. When you have God in your heart and you really, really believe in the values that come from, you know, from your faith, it can move you to mountains. It can move mountains from your life, actually. You can actually overcome so much and be what you want to be. So I was a leader, I would say by default or whatever, but I was always in leadership. And I believed that for every problem, there is a solution. And there's no problem that is permanent. You can always overcome it.
Wow. Well, we're talking to Jennifer Okusia Erejo. We're yet to know the names that sounds from the eastern part of Uganda, but yet she's talking of the West Nile part of the country. Of course, the West Nile part of Uganda is a part of the country from the northern part of Uganda. If you're watching the show from anywhere across the world, it's a CEO Bench. My name is Ed Yokela. Jennifer Okusia Erejo is the new executive director of BOSCO Uganda, an organization based out of the northern part of Uganda. 14 years of doing community work around, and she's been promoted to the executive director spot, and therefore the vote came to us to have her on the show. You've just had the first part of the interview with Jennifer, where we're talking about who is Jennifer, what are you, growing up, what did you want to be, what was it like? We're going to take a break, and when we come back, Jennifer and I will dive more into what excites her as we move towards the discussion about her role as a woman leader. Not just a woman leader, taking over from a sport that is usually men, and moreover in the Catholic Church. What a story right there. Stay right there, I'll be right back after the break.
There's a lot that is involved in the civil society organizations. There's leadership in itself, there's management of processes, there's management of the human resource, there's fundraising, there's research. It's a lot that needs to be done, and many times there is a feeling that is too much for a woman because she has other traditional roles that she needs to do as at home. So many times as people are looking for leaders in civil society organizations, the priority is usually given to men because of our society that feels that men have the time, men have the capacity, men have the ability to lead, to take this organization to greater heights. And women, there will be a problem. They will have to go to maternity leave. They have issues. They are too emotional. They have not done the courses that are good enough for leaders. They don't have time to to go for extra learning or to go for work outside Kampala because they have to tend to their children. So there's too much that society has tied around a woman. And it's true, we have these traditional roles that we have to do, but does not in any way mean that women cannot lead in these spaces.
Welcome back from that break. This is the CEO Bench. My name is Eddie Okela, and my guest this morning on the CEO Bench, or this night or this evening, depending on which part of the world you are actually watching the program from, is Jennifer Okusia Erejo. Jennifer, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
First of all, let's talk about your name, the set of your names. One would think you hail from the eastern part of the country, where my friends who hail from that part keep saying that they come from the land of the wise men. The eastern part of Uganda is Teso. How did you acquire the name from Teso?
Actually, that name is not from Teso.
Yes.
But I always find, whenever I say I'm Okusia, people think I'm from Teso. And I always get people greeting me in the language.
Yes.
And all I could, respond maybe with the response, and that's it. But it's actually named from West Nile.
From West Nile.
From Arua.
Yeah. What does it mean, by the way?
It means because of woman.
Because of woman. Okusia?
Yes.
Wow. And Erejo?
Erejo is actually my husband's name.
Okay. Is he also from the West Nile?
Yes, he's from Arua.
So this is just a coincidence that both of you have the names from, the northern part and the eastern part of the country. But welcome back. So now we know that Okusia means it's because of a woman.
Oh, woman, yes.
Wow. Jennifer, what excites you right now that you are a new executive director of this new organization? Let's dive into it briefly.
Thank you. Before I became an executive director, I was working with an organization called Horizon 3000. Yeah. An Austrian organization for development cooperation. I was working for many years with them, at least 13 years, and in the area of programming, like project development. So it was an amazing work to see what people are doing, plan with them projects that have big impacts on lives. So projects on water and sanitation, agriculture, and so on. And BOSCO Uganda was one of the partner organizations of Horizon 3000. Yeah. I decided to leave. I was working in Kampala here, but I decided to go up north to the ground because I felt I needed to have better impact on the ground, kind of relate to the people on the ground and plan projects that actually transform lives. So what really is passionate for me is designing projects or interventions that really transform lives. And for an organization, of course, you're looking at ensuring their systems working, their structures. So I went to BOSCO Uganda with the passion of supporting the organization to further grow, to look into their structures and systems and processes, and also to ensure that whatever we're doing to the communities will transform lives. Now, when you look at ICT, for instance, there's so much you can do beyond connectivity. If you look at the education sector right now, we have so many, my children have lost 2 years at home for staying at home. Wow. The lower level children, they have lost time. Now, what can you do? What can ICT do? What can you do to bridge the gap? And so we see that there is so much with ICT that we can actually do now to transform lives. I started from a rural school, and we had to sit national exams. With schools that have the privilege of power. We used that time. We used to use, this hurricane lamp. Yes. But you see the same national exams. But now with ICT, with government, things have changed. We now at least have connectivity, although not reaching to many rural places yet. With BOSCO Uganda, I could see the opportunity of how ICT, their work can transform lives. Not only, by the way, they don't only do ICT, we also have solar. We do solar installations. There is one school called John Paul II, a secondary school in Gulu, that received the 30 kilowatt solar energy in partnership with Accenture and the University of Notre Dame. And that has transformed that school completely. They were off-grid, but now they have power. It means the learning hours for students has increased, teachers able to access information on the net. BOSCO Uganda also supports network, the intranet system, so you can build, an intranet where you can collaborate. So we partnership, for instance, with UNICEF. They established Colibri. They worked on the Colibri content and helped schools to access that. So more than ever now, with ICT, what excites me is that you can actually have education materials available in a school or even in a center, in an ICT center. So what we want to do as BOSCO Uganda, in those centers that are already established, for instance, have content there so that even students who are at home, those who go from, the day scholars, secondary school, can go to the library, to the ICT centers, and get education material, whether it is videography or do some research in the centers in the rural areas, because all those centers are powered with solar. So even if they're not having access to the national grid, they can still run, on solar, because we establish low-powered, computers and with solar backup.
Wow.
So it excites me so much to see the opportunity of what we can do, even especially now that schools are closed, that children can still access materials from these ICT centers, from even one of our ICT centers in Badege, which is in the Gulu city. You come in there and actually you can do your online learnings from there. And for me, that is so exciting. That's only in ICT, in education. But when you look at health as well, so much can be done to digitalize the health sector and improve, on service delivery.
Wow.
So I just want to say in summary that there is so much that I saw that BOSCO Uganda could do beyond what they were doing, like connectivity, build up more content, and have this available in the rural areas. Network the ICT centers so that every centers in the rural areas, from Pade, Gulu, Kitgum, they have the content and people can work there, have internet access, but have an intranet system where you can get data. Get information, content, rich content that you on biology, on physics, even on mathematics. So this is what really excites me.
Wow.
And besides that also, I think I love working with people and, as I said, transforming lives. I really want to see lives changed. Whatever we do, we must account for results, and starting from, say, the individual. If your program does not change lives.
Wow. Jennifer, we're going to go straight on that note to the leadership part of this interview. I mean, the program you're on, focused on leadership, change management, and transformation. And you've touched a little bit there. So I want to go straight to leadership. Having heard you speak about what excites you in this new role that you are in right now, and it gives me an opportunity to ask a question. On the question of leadership, what is your understanding of true leadership, from self to leadership at family level, to leadership at community level, to leadership at where you are right now, which is organizational level?
All right.
What is your understanding of leadership?
First of all, I do believe that everyone is a leader. And we are leaders in different capacities, right from home. Even we see children take up leadership. As I said, when I was young, I was supporting my parents to bring income at home and also to care for the others. In an early age, just as soon as I finished my university and I got a job, I had to take over responsibility to support the siblings to also get education. All of them got degree. I was the first graduate in the family. And I do believe even at family levels, when you see the husband and wife, they always believe men are the heads of the family. But we've seen so many women do so much in the family, and it's not recognized. Leadership for me is when you recognize that you have something to offer, when you recognize you have passion to do something, you can inspire others, and you actually are committed to what you do and to the values that you have. I think for me that is leadership.
Wow.
So the values that carry you right from your childhood to your workplace and even to the society. It's not about how good you speak, it's about the things that you do, the things that you say you will do, and do you actually do them? Do you inspire people to go to greater heights? And another thing I think in leadership is about the transformation. Are you able to leave people behind in a better way? And that is important.
Wow. Well, we're talking to Jennifer Okusia Erejo. I need to get that name correct. She's the Executive Director of BOSCO Uganda. BOSCO Uganda is an international, or rather a local organization that is going international from Uganda, based in northern part of Uganda. It's been there for 14 years. She's been nominated as our guest on the CEO bench today. And I think that those who nominated her surely had the reason for their vote to bring her to the CEO bench. And Jennifer, we want to say thank you, because the things you speak about are quite very serious stuff. I want to take you to the next question. On that note that you have now talked to us about what leadership is, your understanding of leadership, who is a leader to you, and are you one? If yes, what type of a leader are you, Jennifer?
I am a leader, and I think a transformational leader.
Yes.
In the mix with a democratic kind of leadership. But I think, as I said, leadership is what you, when you believe you can do something, you stand out.
Yes.
You know, you stand out and do something. Like, as I said, in the early ages as a youth, you find there is need for something. You mobilize solutions. That is leadership for me. Yeah. You, like right now in the organization, you're looking at how do I put up systems and structures that would help the organization to function even beyond my existence. That is a good trait of a leader. A leader has to raise up other people. Yeah. You must be visionary. That is something that I think is in any good leader. Yeah. You must have a vision. You must be able to see the future and work towards that. Set up some goals and be able to achieve that. Yeah. And as I said, for me, it's so important that whatever we're doing has to have an impact on people. Yeah. And we must account for results. So as a leader, you must set up plans. You must set up, you know, what you want to change and be able to account for that.
Wow. Jennifer, on that note, I want to take you straight to this question. So, we now know you said you're a transformational leader. What type of a leader are you or will you be at BOSCO Uganda now that you're going in as the freshest executive director? Moreover, the first female in that organization, taking over from people who have a huge portfolio. I mean, I look at the person that you're taking over from and I realize that it's not just a simple role that you're going to take, but you're actually taking over a role that requires you to transform that organization and give meaningful lives to those who work in that organization as well as the communities in that area and Uganda as a country. Okay, so what kind of a leader will you be at BOSCO Uganda?
A leader that values people and their contributions. Also, I think a leader who looks at, I like to work with people who are committed. Yeah. In whatever we do, we have got to be committed. It's not about the money, it's not about the status, but it's about what we do, a servant leadership. Yeah. So being on the ground and doing actually the work. I just came from a study that we're doing in the West Nile in the health sector to understand the challenges so that we work on a digital solution in partnership with Accenture that is supporting JICA and the Ministry of Health to look around the digitalization and finding solutions that would help improve information, how do I say, data collection and analysis and decision taking to actually support informed decision taking. Yes. And I think that is something I was on the ground. Yes. I was driving to some of the locations, the health centers, to be there and see them. So it's not about directing people, but I was on the field with the team, understanding and leading them through the challenges. We had so many challenges, but we had to go through. So you lead by action and lead by example. Yeah. So for me, it's about being very true. There are values that you cherish, that you carry. Yeah. Issues around honesty. Yeah. I'm a very honest person, and I love facts. I love facts. I'm in my leadership, I'm looking at, you know, if you say we've done this, can we account for it? Yes. Are we truthful in what we say we have done? And can we actually prove that our activities make a difference? And can we distinguish what we're doing from other contribution and acknowledge what others are doing? Wow. So for me, accountability is very critical. Yeah. Transparency in whatever we do is very, very important. And above all, how do I say, the values that we carry along, integrity, issues around the ethics, these are really very important. Wow. I want to see our interventions truly transform lives. Wow. If we're saying we're going to a school and support the school, what concretely can we get out? What can they say? Yeah. What change have we brought to that school? Yeah. You know, we would love to see people actually speak about that change. Yeah. And not for us to speak for them and say, we did this actually, but people should be able to, you see, you carry the people along. I would say actually, for whatever intervention you're doing, put the people in the driving seat so that the communities themselves are part of that intervention that you're coming up with. Wow. Even as an organization, you want to leave you want the organization to continue beyond you. So you're setting up a legacy that, how do I say, future generations will remember because of the things you did. Not the things that you say you will do, but actually what you did. So that is very important. The leadership should be accountable, and you've got to be truthful, you've got to be transparent in whatever you do, and that is very, very important for me. So that's what I bring in BOSCO. I want the truth. I would love that whatever we say we have done can be provable. If you want to check it out, check our work.
Wow.
So that is important.
Wow. We are talking to Jennifer Okusia, the Executive Director of BOSCO Uganda, right here on the CEO bench. And she's telling us about her leadership journey. Self-leadership for me is quite very important for a leader. And I think that Jennifer quite account for that effectively. And of course, we are talking to Jennifer about her role as the Executive Director at BOSCO Uganda. Do you have a question for Jennifer? Do you see a lady who is on the rise to the top who is perfectly befitting of being on the CEO bench because she's a lady on the rise to the top? And we're going to take a break, but just before we take a break, Jennifer, I want to ask you one more question to, sum up the leadership part, and then we'll come back and talk about change management, and particularly the things that you want to do or you're going to do at BOSCO Uganda. And my question on the leadership, to sum it up, is basically about what is your understanding of leadership at the personal level? Most people don't understand leadership at personal level. They don't know how to separate the two. They are stuck in one place, don't know what to move and how to move, but yet we're seeing Jennifer moving from one place to the next. And what is your understanding of leadership at the family level? Most people think that if you're personally very effective as a leader, you are going to be effective at the family level. And that is not true. Sometimes the family dynamics is different because it can break you down. For example, if you decide to go and there's a problem between you and Mr. Erejo today and there's no understanding between the two of you, chances are that if personal effectiveness as a leader is not going to be seen at BOSCO Uganda. How? What is your understanding of that? And we want to know, what is your understanding of leadership at a society level? There are dynamics that needs to be managed at that point. There are things that a leader needs to look at that point. You've talked about the quantifiable, justifiable, measurable metrics of a leader, that the impact should be seen. But we want to dive straight to understand, what is your understanding of that, as well as at the corporational level, which is where you are right now, and at the national level. There are dynamics that play in, as you talk about, transformation. Can you share and shed more light on that one?
Okay, thank you very much. At a personal level, I think it is, for me, it is again the values that you have and carrying those values with you. For instance, now I have raised up children, not only my own children, I've raised quite a number of children. I'm here for work, I've been out for a month, and they're managing. My children are managing, the elder ones are able to manage the younger ones without any issues. Young girls who are raised up right now and so assertive, they are so, I mean, I have no doubt about their capabilities. They're taking care of the little ones who are about 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, even in my absence. I think that's already an evidence of good leadership at the family level. Because for me, it's so important to impart values in people. And I see this in my children. I see this in the children, even those I've adopted. And they are carrying themselves with grace. You look at them and you see in schools, the feedback you get from the teachers about those girls, amazing. So these are young children, young youth who are already even taking responsibilities of mothers. They are caring for others. They are able to self-organize the families. Even in the absence, my absence at home. You know, a month away from home and everything is okay. That shows you that even at personal level, there is leadership. Of course, at family, you have the husband and the wife. Sometimes the wife is very strong and vocal, and the husband is a bit timid. But I think it's about understanding. And I am not really the kind of feminist people, like, you know, all these stereotypes about women and men. I really do believe about equity. You know, fairness in whatever we do, whether it's because of race or gender or religion, we've got to be fair to each other. And we want to see women and men, you know, receive equitable treatment. At the level of leadership, at the organization, you want fairness. Even for pay, to female employees or male employees. Look at the competence of your people. Look at the commitment of the people. It shouldn't be about because it's a woman or a man. For me, leadership is the character that you bring in, and it can be natural. You can harness the leadership as you go on. I can't say I'm an excellent CEO. I am still starting. But I do believe in the values that will take me to where I want to be. The vision that I have for the organization, and being able to have the right networks, associating with people who have similar understanding of what they want to do, even in the society, and that's it. At society level, we look at how to go with the communities. It's so important that whatever we do, communities own it. So you do not want to be, how do I say, a big talker and never an implementer. And that is why you see sometimes people who you hold very highly at a higher level because they hold very important positions. But when you get to know them personally, you're very disappointed because there seems to be a mismatch in the values that they carry right from home and there. So outside they may look so good, but internally at home they're having other kind of values. So for me, a leader, whether you are seen or not seen, are you doing the right thing? As a leader, you've got to do the right thing. You do the right thing whether people appreciate it or not. Take the tough decisions, even when others are not happy. But most important for me at organization, legacy, it is being able to raise other people and let other people, if you've left, if you are, raise other people so that when you go, there is no gap. You
and
get
Jennifer's
it?
left.
Yes, and everybody collapses.
Then everybody collapses, yes.
That is very important. You must carry people along. Give the people opportunity, give them higher tasks so that you're building up capabilities within your people. Give them tasks. Move to higher levels so that when you go, you don't hold on. I've seen that challenge sometimes with organizations when the people hold on and they don't give you the chance to be what you want to be. You have conflicted visions. It's so important because even leadership at the board level, how are you aligning yourself with the CEO to ensure that the systems that you're putting in place are working, putting in structures, and moving beyond an individual, how do I say this? Is it a structure?
Yes.
The organizations that depend on individuals.
Yes.
It's very dangerous because it will collapse. It should be building systems and structures and internal processes that will help a system to function even without you. And that's what I stand for, and that's what I really believe on.
Wow.
And if I had the opportunity to get additional funding, I think there's so much that we can do. From what we've been doing in the study and seeing the gaps that are there, very sad. I have moved to the communities in the West Nile, nearly most of the districts, 12 districts of West Nile, and I have seen the challenges that women face, men face, from infrastructure issues in the health centers. They're very inadequate. I've looked at, you see you have a health center too, and by structure they're not supposed to offer deliveries. It's OPD. But some of the health centers are located in a very distant place. They are the oldest health center in the radius of over 10 kilometers or even 20. And people need services, they need health service. So when you see mothers are dying, it's because there's a gap in leadership. What can we do to ensure that we build up institutions, we build up structures, we build up systems that would meet the needs of our people, and that is very important. So whatever interventions we do, we've got to ensure that these are able to transform lives. So if I'm in the health sector, what can I do to change lives?
Wow. We're talking to Jennifer Okusia Erejo. I think is a very powerful woman, well set with all our goals, ready to go and conquer the world at BOSCO, Uganda. This is not BOSCO the Katala of the city of Kampala. This is BOSCO the Katala of the city of the community in northern part of Uganda. We'll be right back after the break. This is the CEO Bench.
Even people are stuck in their own ways. For people who have had a chance to say, work out of the country. You're dealing with people from different backgrounds, different cultures. Their view of the world is different. You know, you cannot change that. The best you can do is get into that space and find a way of navigating through that.
Okay.
So I don't believe that what I've learned necessarily is going to go into, say, a big organization like Stanbic and change it.
Yeah.
If it may guide me along the way in terms of how to navigate, in terms of how to influence the leaders of that organization, but not necessarily kick the front door and change everything. In fact, I think that's disastrous because you may just end up going backwards. So I think for me is allow yourself to learn from the environment and then adapt and change from within.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of time we see people, Daniel, who go into organization and just start changing, and you find people flying from this organization to another and says, man, the new boss was come.
Correct.
I can't stay there.
Absolutely.
And this happened.
Absolutely.
Is it they themselves who are a problem, those who are running away, or actually the bosses come and want to change everything? Have you ever been in an organization and people have viewed you like that? And if yes, how were you able to deal with it? If not, had you learned these tricks before going inside there so that when you arrived, you are more warmer to people than more, cold to other people?
Yeah, I think in most cases where I've seen this.
There's a lot that is involved in the civil society organizations. There's leadership in itself, there's management of processes, there's management of the human resource, there's fundraising, there's research. It's a lot that needs to be done. And many times there is a feeling that is too much for a woman because she has other traditional roles that she needs to do as at home.
Yeah.
So many times as people are looking for leaders in civil society organizations, the priority is usually given to men because of our society that feels that men have the time, men have the capacity, men have the ability to lead, to take this organization to greater heights. And women, there will be a problem. They will have to go to maternity leave. They have issues. They are too emotional. They have not done the courses that are good enough for leaders. They don't have time to to go for extra learning or to go for work outside Kampala because they have to tend to their children. So there's too much that society has tied around a woman. And it's true. We have these traditional roles that we have.
It is the CEO Bench. My name is Erejo and welcome back from that break. In the studio with me is the Executive Director of BOSCO Uganda, an organization that deals in ICT management in rural areas in northern part of Uganda. 14 years of existence, and of course the Executive Director, the new Executive Director, the female taking over from a man in a Catholic organization is not an easy place to be. Jennifer, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
Before we went for a break, you were talking so much about leadership and change management, leadership and transformation, leadership and the things that excite you and the things that you're going to do. I want to take you straight, Jennifer. Change management is our next part of the show, and then we'll go to transformation as we close the show. What is your understanding of change management, and which principles do you always apply when moving out from an organization? That's one. And how do you communicate it as well as manage the expectations to where you're going? Like right now, you've left an organization, you're going to BOSCO Uganda. All right? Mm-hmm. Your next address is there. How do you manage to tell people you're leaving where you've been for 13 years? And then how do you manage the expectations where you're going, where you're going to start another journey, most probably another 13 years. And not everyone finds this very easy. Not everyone is able to leave their job to move. Most people are stuck in one place and they're wondering what to do and how to go about it. They don't even know. But yet we see you and we have you here on the CEO bench as the next executive director of BOSCO Uganda. What is your understanding of change management in that regard, in that context?
Well, that's a broad theme. I don't know where to start from, but I think change management is like managing change.
Yes.
So you kind of, whether it's at a personal level or an organization level,
Yeah.
you want to, there's something that you want to change. So for me, it is about, first of all, understanding where you are and then defining what kind of change you want to see. I can give an example. For instance, for programs, when you are designing a program, it is so critical to understand where you are. Like what we're doing now in an effort and in a wonderful partnership with Accenture, working together with JICA and the Ministry of Health, is to study what is happening in the health sector and seeing what changes are going to be possible. One of the things that we found in our study, for instance, is that a lot of data is being collected, like every month, every day,
Yes.
the health workers, especially level 3s, because we're studying level 2 and 3s.
Yes.
There's so much data being recorded every day. If you walk to a rural health center, 2 or 3, you'll find the workers very busy.
Yes.
They are not only seeing patients, but they have to record data every single day. But what is the challenge with that is that at the end of the month, they must submit the report, so they don't even have the time to do analysis. And in order to make change possible, you need to use also technology. You need to change from a manual system to a system that is going to help you do analysis and be able to make an informed, timely, real-time decision. So what we're doing now, for instance, now in that, I'm just giving an example of a health center. There's going to be, we visualize a lot of change going to happen. That even at a clinical officer will be able to do start building up their management capabilities. They are going to start analyzing the data, understand why some kind of diseases, why malaria cases are going up, and not wait for feedback three months later from the district. They are able to look at the performance of the workers. They are able to understand how to even allocate resources and a number of things like that. So for change to happen, you've got to understand where are you and where do you want to go, and then set up a strategy to go. When I left the previous organization, they have never fallen back and said, where are you? And you build systems. You make sure that you're documenting what you're doing so that there is no gap in knowledge. So for me, knowledge management is very critical. So even when people leave an organization, you must leave it in a way that is professional. I've seen organizations where people just, tomorrow they disappear, they're not there. That is a bad practice. Change is inevitable. And it must happen because of the changes in the world that we're seeing in terms of technology, in terms of, the circumstances we're in. It's so important that you continuously monitor the environment, whether it is internal or external, and see how to overcome, especially the negative shocks that may come through maybe change of policy. COVID has happened and people have been, those who didn't want to change, who didn't want to learn computer, have no choice now. Now they're going to struggle, because they missed opportunities to adopt to the change that is happening. So managing change for me is looking within an organization and seeing what has to change. For instance, the organization culture. If you find a culture of, not only you talk about laissez-faire leadership, but there's also laissez-faire kind of behaviors among staff. You find where you have people leave their coats on the seats. You're waiting for an officer, it is his coat there. It's a Monday. It's a Friday, they are gone. So you're seeing cultures, you're seeing behaviors which need to be changed through the values that you must bring into an organization. So you realize you must set up systems, and you must be tough about some of the changes. Sometimes it doesn't go well for you, but you have to do the right thing. Because if you want to move from here to there, you must have a clear vision, and you must have clear strategies on how to reach there, including punitive measures. It's very important. So for me, in an organization, for instance, to change the culture, it's a big one. Change that culture of where people come at 10 a.m. and they leave at 3. Or people come early and they're actually not doing anything. So a change process could be having a result-based system where you account for results. and you may not, they may not like it.
Wow.
But what do? That is what you want to see.
Yeah.
You want to be honest, you want to be accountable, you want to account for results, you want to see impact, you want to see changes in people's lives. So that means you've got to do something that even is unpopular, but for the right cause.
Yeah.
So for me, managing change is not very easy. You may get the struggles, like your vision may conflict with others.
Yeah.
But what do? You stand to what you do. And if you find that, for instance, the values are conflicting with what is there, you can't change something.
Yeah.
Move on. Because why would you change your values if you find, for instance, the things that you cherish, and I talk about values,
yeah.
and you're not getting the opportunity to be what you want to be. You
Yeah.
go. In leadership, sometimes there are many people I know who are stuck because they feel the name of the organization is what, is popular.
Yes.
There could be good leaders out there, but they are stuck because of
Yes.
reputation of the organization.
Yes.
Yet the world is waiting to see them.
They have actually outgrown this space.
They have
but
outgrown
they
the
can't go
space.
to the next
They are
place.
so afraid of change.
Yeah.
I am not afraid of change. I move, even if it means taking
Yes,
risks,
yes, yes.
but for the right reasons, once
Yeah.
you check your intentions are
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
and you feel you can make a contribution somewhere.
Correct.
It is good to lose something, but you gain it along the way.
Wow.
So for me, that change has
Yeah.
to be well thought. What is it I want to change?
Yeah.
How does that resonate around my values?
Yeah.
How does it help me? For instance, it was so helpful for me to have more time with my children, which was very difficult in Kampala now
Yeah.
because, traffic jam.
Yeah.
You lose 6 hours in traffic. You reach home when the kids are sleeping, you leave when they're sleeping.
Yeah.
As a mother, for me, that was not something that it was already conflicting with my values. I had to do something
Yeah.
to make sure that I am able to be busy as a CEO, as an ED in work, but still knowing what is going on in my home
Yeah.
and making sure that the children are growing up with values.
Yeah.
That when you come to my home, you're not embarrassed by what you see there.
Yeah.
So balancing, as a woman, it's so tricky, balancing between leadership
Yeah.
in the office and even at home. It's not easy, but it is possible to achieve it. So I see many women
Yeah.
held behind because they're also afraid. Maybe their husbands are not encouraging them to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
And life is to be lived once. You, as an individual in this world, have been put for a purpose here. And once you understand that you are, an ambassador in this world,
Yes.
and you have a purpose to fulfill on this world, you are not afraid of even what your husband may say. He will catch along the vision as you go. But you move. And along the way, he'll say you took the
Yes,
right
yes,
decision.
yes,
So I
yes.
really encourage people out there
Yeah.
that sometimes change is inevitable. You've got to change. And sometimes people insist on holding on when everything is falling apart.
Yeah.
You're going to fall eventually. Because it's like an ice. You have an ice and there is sun.
Yes.
Slowly it is melting away, but you're still holding on. You remain and fall.
Yes.
So you need to take the change and move. Sometimes it's a tough decision, but you must move the change.
Wow.
You must act
Yes.
so that you reach where you want to reach. Because the vision that you had before,
Yeah.
this is how many years now back? Align it to the context today. Align it to the challenges and opportunities that you see today, like
Yeah.
with COVID now. There's so much that we can do. Yes, there is a problem, but for every problem, there is a
There's
solution.
to it.
So you have got to change some of the, your activities, your actions, in order to bring that positive change that you want to see.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking to Jennifer Okusia Erejo. She is the Executive Director of BOSCO Uganda, and I can tell you the nominations were not in vain. She is really fit for where she's going. Jennifer, we want to just encourage people to send in their kisses and disses coming. If Jennifer is doing well, kiss us. If she's not doing well, please diss us. We're okay. We will be able to respond to you. And please set your questions ready for Jennifer. We'll be able to try and pick a couple of 2 or 3 questions coming from all the viewers all out there and all across the world onto this topic of the CEO bench and leadership change management and transformation. Jennifer, let me drive you to a very specific part of the show, which is, closing change management, going to transformation, as it is here on the show. When you speak with a lot of passion, you speak with a lot of energy, you speak with a lot of, drive and self-motivation. How does it feel to be leading an organization at the forefront of digital technology and connectivity founded by the Catholic Church And of course, the essential, as we know, as a young mother from Uganda, from a young girl from Arua, with all the background you've given, how does it feel like to be now at the forefront of this organization that usually are led by men, not women?
It feels great.
Yeah.
It feels great because there's so much we can do today
with
technology, with ICT, to transform lives, to transform even business operations, to transform organizations. We've seen many organizations struggling. You know, the cost of internet is still very, very expensive, very, very high for many people. You know, it's not affordable with the commercial networks. It's quite expensive. So BOSCO Uganda gives support to organizations that actually aids their work. They get it at a very, very low cost. It is really actually free, especially like the Archdiocese, the Archbishop. He's supported, he's our father, and he's supported to even live stream. And he's reaching out to the people in this period where there's a lockdown and you can't even go to church anymore. So we're seeing radio stations in the region who are broadcasting using our, our platform live to the audiences. So we're supporting other institutions to even achieve their missions and their visions, their goals. That is something beautiful that BOSCO Uganda is doing. And we thank actually NITAU, we thank UCC that supported a community network organization like BOSCO Uganda to exist. Completely not-for-profit organization that looks at communities and sees how to, to end the digital isolation for many people. We have wireless network in an office. People can access, internet from wherever they are with the hotspots and be able to work. That is something that BOSCO Uganda, I just love the organization because they were seeing very far. They had very good insight. The founders had such beautiful vision of the future, way before, this technology was even here. So for me, it's something that is beautiful. The potential of what we can do is amazing. For instance, if we go to a health center now and digitalize data so that they no longer have to spend time writing long notes, in the registers. You fill Jennifer, your age, your sex, and so on and so forth. These registers are so many. There's even no store for keeping the register. Digitalize that information so that you're able to even trace who is coming to the facility, improve diagnosis, improve care, so that the doctors, the nurses are able to see who came in. I have been privileged through, I think, working with an international organization to attend medical care in a private hospital. And I saw from the triage, a system where you walk in, the doctor already has your record before you even come in. But in this manual system, you are going to start telling your story again. So with technology, the potential of even improving health service delivery is amazing. You can, for instance, we've seen some partners do, for instance, something on addressing mortality rates, death among children, that is like say under 1 year, using technology. The doctor is able to monitor the health of the children and even improve diagnosis. So with technology, there is so much that we can do. We can have students studying from home. Many schools now are doing virtual. If you see the schools in the northern region, many of them are very rural. They don't have power. They don't have even a single computer. Many schools don't have a computer. So as BOSCO Uganda, coming in and providing them with computer, providing them a network system, an intranet system within the school system so that there are networks, the students can go learn basic computer skills. We are building up leaders, we're building up Ugandans who are digitally literate. And these people are going to be able to do their own coursework. For us, we learned computer in the university. We didn't. I learned it at university. I was lucky. A cousin of mine told me, you need to go and learn computer. In 2 weeks, I was able to learn, and I took off. That, how do I say, just a little support as good as giving people basic skills sets them to move and discover themselves. So now with internet connection, what can they not do? Students are we're going to still, how do I say, improve education, the quality of education. We see the possibility of even schools across, networking, say a rural school partnering with a Kampala school, or that is having teachers being able to broadcast and exchange materials online. And we're going to carry the same vision because we want to see our citizens better. So with BOSCO Uganda, there's so much opportunity we have available to support education, health, even agriculture. We've seen people use the apps to to study the health of your farm.
Yes.
So use technology to develop, and that's why I love what we're doing, because I bring in the aspect of development. I'm not a technician, but I tell them if people do not understand and use it, then it is useless. It has got to make a difference in the lives of the people. It's not about knowing, like now, you may not even know what comes into the camera, how it is, but you must know how to operate it and use it for something good. So we see technology bridging up with whatever we want to, the gap that we have in the sector, and what kind of solutions can we design to using the technology to take people, leapfrog people to another level. We can actually catch up in this period of COVID, the losses through technology, and that is possible. So BOSCO Uganda having community networks, having ICTs, 54 ICT centers, these need to be strengthened. We need to see, I want to see, when anyone walks into the center, even women, go there and find a content, say for instance, how to make cakes, bakery and so on. Learn it from the ICT center, go home and do it, start a business. Wow. These are possibilities you can do with technology.
And this is what you are
This is the vision.
The vision you want to take into
Thank you.
Uganda.
This is what I want to bring. Increase content. Have content available. Relevant content that is going to transform lives. I have learned a lot from the YouTube on how to make cakes. I don't need to come to an expensive school in Kampala. You can use it technology for it. Just get people exposed towards something and they see the good thing about it and they take off. So we can see that with technology, with ICT, women can transform their lives right from the home. You walk to an ICT center that is near you. Students, even at home, can walk to the center. If you have a wireless system, hotspots available, like in the market in Gulu, we established the hotspots, and the women during the COVID, you can use it to sell, find market prices. Farmers are using it to find prices of their products. Network, the possibilities. You open people to the world, and take them away from their small world. Open them up. People are doing businesses, electronically.
Wow.
So that's the beauty of BOSCO Uganda. I see so much that can be done.
I can see what you're talking about. I can see through it. And I want you to share your questions if you are for Jennifer. But Jennifer, our time is being fast spent, but I want to take you to a more specific questions on faith base. You are going into what we call a faith-based organization, and started by church as a church installation and the Catholic faith. What does faith, hope, inspiration, confidence, and success mean to you as a person? First of all, as a leader, as a person going in there as an executive director, especially in the light of consequences and effects of the pandemic COVID-19?
I can quickly say that faith is what has made me today, and hope. When you have those challenges, some people have taken shortcuts and they are far. Some are gone, they are dead because of the decisions they took. But having faith in God, prayer is so important. For young people out there, I really tell them, my girls know that, even my little children, 2-year-old, prays. They all pray. They're learning how to pray. I'm building that foundation in them. They learn. I self-learned how to do these things, but I have made sure that for myself, my family is a prayerful family. These are values that they cherish. The children pray. They pray for me. You hear them pray, God bless mommy. Many of the things that I'm getting, God answers the prayers of little children. So faith for me from childhood was so critical. Faith, hope. It makes you believe in possibilities beyond where you are. You see things and you actually affirm things. Like poverty, I said, poverty, I must kick it out of the family. I said, my family, I'll be the first graduate. My siblings will not, will not remain uneducated, because I believe very much that with God, all things are possible. So for me, at an individual level, this faith has brought me so far with the values that I cherish today, of honesty, hard work, trustworthy, transparency and so on. So these things guide me, and this came for me from the church. Being an active Christian, a Catholic, I am a Catholic, but I'm very, I love God, and I can do nothing without him. I really do believe that the values that we have, the challenges we have, if you don't have God, you get swayed away. You get into the popularity thing, and before you know it, you're gone. But when you stick to your God, he never fails you. He actually comes through. And every time I had a challenge, there was always, he just made a way.
Yeah.
God truly makes a way where there seems to be no way. Yeah. And being in the Catholic Church, I really want to see that we're supporting not only the church, but it's an organization that reaches out to regardless of faith. We've established ICT centers in mosques, in Muslims schools. Yeah. And that is important for us because you're looking at humanity. Yeah. With faith is you look at the human aspect of people. Yeah. And you, regardless of race, religion, gender, sex, you're looking at the human person, and you want what you want for yourself should be the same for others. Selfishness does not help us. I really do believe that there is more blessing in giving than in receiving.
Yes, yes.
There is more blessing giving than receiving. So I have seen people like Peter Nyeko, and he's a giver. I wouldn't be here without some people like him. Yes. What he's going to work on and what we are going to build together, working on to support health centers now have energy, 1.5 kilowatt energy in health center 2s and 3s. Yes. That is going to transform lives. Because I think these are some of the values that we commonly share, that we want to see people's lives change. We want to improve, access. We want to provide an ambulance to people so that they transport mothers who are pregnant to facilities, help those facilities people do better with their lives. So for me, faith at a personal level, it's driving me to the organization. And even as I move out, it's so critical for me. I just want to see, how do I say, that light. The light of Christ that shines. And that for me is a big thing. Be the light. Bring light where there's darkness. Give hope for other people. Let them see that you can, they're where they are now, they will also be somebody at some time. You don't have to be a perfect leader. But if you have the values and if you cherish the things that you do, the sky is the limit.
Wow. Jennifer, Uganda has a very interesting number of people. I want to localize this and bring it down to the African context. The African continent have a diversity of many people thinking in a different perspective altogether. The attitude and perception of people are very different. But bringing it down here at home in Uganda, particularly most Ugandans, or Uganda is mostly a country that is friendly to many people, likes to receive as many people as possible. And in recent times and in recent years, we've seen Uganda as, a country that receives as many refugees as possible. But also pressure is beginning to build in the sense that people are beginning to see that the space is going, and there's a lot of, now small talks and, brewing issues happening between the refugee communities and then the local indigenous people in this space. But yet, Uganda is one of the country in Africa that mostly rural and agricultural, based. As a country, we are blessed with the soil, but we also host as more refugees as possible compared to most of the cities or countries across Africa, or even in the world. There's no country in the world that is hosting more refugees than Uganda. Yeah. All right? And when you look at this, what is the biggest challenge in the rural and refugee hosting communities that you are inspired to transform through your work? We're getting into the transformation